And the data, by the way, and the reason it's so valuable is that, amongst other reasons, is that audience targeting in anything, whether you're doing cold email or you're doing ad campaigns, targeting the right people who are actually interested in buying is critically important. And it's hard because a lot of people end up wasting money or advertising to people that just don't care, are the wrong people. So these data companies, essentially what they offer, the promise is to have people who are visiting your website who are anonymous. Ever since 2021 with Apple iOS 14.5, which just absolutely screwed Meta and other platforms because everybody became anonymous like almost overnight on our phones and other devices. So that put the hurt on Meta. And so the promise of this is like, well, we'll actually feed that data back to Meta, Google, other platforms by being able to de-anonymize people and with all of their personally identifiable information, right? Which is completely legal, by the way, and within privacy laws compliance in the US anyway. Can't do this stuff in Europe, but you can do it here. And so that's part of it. And then the other thing is, hey, we'll find you people. This is called, that's called visitor ID. In-market data is people who have been searching online on places like Google for certain keywords recently. So they are in the market with their proverbial wallet out, ready to buy. Okay, so sounds great. And hey, you'll make $1 million or millions of dollars selling this data to people who are just going to magically know how to use it to get results. And what you find out is there's many, many, many data companies out there saying that they have good data. A lot of it sucks. A lot of it is coming from the same place, which is a consortium of multiple data vendors. And I'm not going to get into that right now. But a lot of the data is inferior. The resolution rates can be very low, or the data is dubious or old, or just doesn't match up to who's actually on your site, for example. Or these people were not actually searching online for this, and so they're no better than a cold lead or a made up lead. Even if you get good data, okay, and as someone who's kissed a lot of data frog vendors to get to my data princes, as it were, even if you get good data, what you then find out is that with many companies, when you sell the data, they don't know what the hell to do with it. Like they're like, great, they'll fire you because they didn't do anything with the data. They're like, oh, we know it's good, and we just didn't really get around to it. They didn't have systems or processes or people, and things fall apart that way. So it is very challenging. And then the dream is not just, you don't just walk up and start making tons of money in most cases. So assuming that you have a good data vendor, okay, and obviously I'm a data vendor, so I think my data is the best, but I'm not gonna become a shill here. Wherever you get your data, in our case, it's Lead Eagle is our data company, and you know that part of it is good, meaning these people are actually relevant, they're actually in market, they're actually the people that are visiting the website, whatever. What I found was that I had to develop campaigns around the data to be able to get results for people and get the results for them. In other words, it's like that mob movie where it's like every time I try to get out, they drag me back in with the agency type work. It's kind of what I found. Now, I'm not saying that it's not possible to do it without doing that, but you're going to have to target the right companies. So first of all, you're going to have great data. It sounds to me like the data company you were using, that was not the case. It sounds to me like maybe you had challenges with the data just based on what you said. So that problem you're going to definitely have to solve. And then you're going to need to come up with ways. Now, so what can you offer people? If you want companies, by the way, I'm skipping around. If you want companies that you won't have to do it for, they'll have to be very mature companies that have well-established marketing campaigns in place and talented people who know what they're doing. Guess what? That's like way more rare than you would think. And it tends to be larger companies, and it's possible they are out there. I have a couple customers like that, and boy, do I treasure them, but boy, do I wish I could like duplicate them, like put them in a cloning chamber. Unfortunately, most of them are in the other category, which is like, we're not quite sure. We're not sure if it's working, what have you. And if we're going to deal with like a certain number of those customers, which unfortunately reality dictates we are, it's going to behoove you to build add-on campaigns around them that maybe aren't too difficult for you to implement. Let me give examples. Okay. So these are things that you can do with this data that actually can work. Again, as long as the data is good. If the data is not good, you're not going to get anywhere with any of this.